speaking of eking things out, let's hop right into game.
No surprises here. No, a sageless composition from TSM, but already a very aggressive defense. Subroza is going into no man's land, trading himself out for 2 of his teammates. That is not what you want. Gen.G immediately blitzing in, punishing, making their way onto the A site. That should be relatively free. Just a single Sova here to deal with. Can they spot out the one remaining player on the corner here? Drone's going to get a second to try and slow things down, but the spike will come through nonetheless. 1 versus 2 here for the Cypher. Peeks, the information's found. 1v1 for Cutler. Clutch player in the previous series, just looking for that one last Brimstone. Player 1 knows where he is, takes his head off his shoulders, and opens up the game beautifully for Gen.G.
Player 1 coming out swinging. We say that he's going to be a critical player throughout this set, and he doesn't disappoint. Taking 2 kills there, pulling off the clutch, and putting Gen.G into fantastic positioning moving into the following rounds.
And off the back of that, we saw very, very heavy aggression from TSM round 1. This is a team that we know constantly likes to catch people off guard. They'll throw Wardell with a shorty on round 1, God knows how many times, and the guy will come out with 2-3 kills. There, though, Gen.G expected it. Gen.G are a high-level team. They're not going to be falling for those tricks. TSM, you cannot cheese out rounds. Now you're on pistols up against the light buy of Gen.G. We need to see an early pick come out, but since they went aggressive last round, they don't really feel like doing that again here.
Yeah, we'll see a little bit more of a passive play from TSM to kick this one off, and an extremely slow default, it would appear, out of Gen.G. We've got Cutler here in his typical post-up, covering A short, and it looks like Gen.G might be pushing up directly into him.
TSM have just the right stack of players here as well. They're rotating the Brim softly over B. You can tell which side of the map they think this play is going towards, and there's so many players trying to stop this. This is the best bet they have at winning the second. 2 players mowed down by Gen.G. Cutler manages to trade out 1, but he's bought his teammates time to get the rotate in. Looking for 1 more, and Drone's gonna get it. Never missing a shot on the Sova, continuing his performance from the previous game. Gets Molotov'd out, but he's not done taking players down. Gets 1 more onto Huynh. Gen.G now just a single member up against Wardell and Hazed, looking for him, knows that spike has to go down, knows exactly where it is as well. Things are incredibly awkward for player 1, who has to clutch out yet again here. Hazed sneaking up behind him and has no clue what's about to hit him. They're playing so passively because they know that spike has to go down with 15 seconds left as well. The timer is ticking, the time's nearly up, and neither player wants to give up this spike plant. 7-6, and there is no patience from this man. Doesn't even get the spike down. Wardell peeks and takes him down with his own teammate's weapon and ends a round that TSM had no right winning 1-1.
A great show of discipline out of Wardell there to wait until the absolute last moments to fast rush that plant and deny it. As you said, TSM really didn't really have the business to take that round, but it pans out in their favor. And now we're going to see full buys on 3 players from TSM as Gen.G is pushed to some sheriffs, a shorty, and a single ghost.
Yeah, this is not pretty, especially with the performance that Drone has been putting up. This man has been insane the entire day. However, more aggression from TSM here is going to net them at least 1 kill positively. Huynh, oh my god, the flying shorty catches himself 1. Cutler cleans him on up, though, and it's still a 1-man advantage here for the defending side with Bolt into middle, and slowly but surely Gen.G running out of map control. If they can get 1 more pick here, they may call it worth it. GMD will take Drone down, and with that, if he's going to try and get 1 more, but Gen.G are all out of steam for this one. Maybe a spike plant just for that bonus cash. Absolutely not, says Cutler, cleaning that one up, only losing 2 members for TSM. They're not feeling too bad, but Gen.G are definitely happy to take those few.
Some fairly solid economic damage coming there out of Gen.G. That cheeky updraft kill from Huynh on B site. That's really all they could probably ask for there. A little bit unfortunate that they couldn't pull off that plant in the end, but we're still looking at full buys for Gen.G's side. And this will be the round to see where momentum will really fall moving here into the center of the first half.
Yeah, I think the most critical thing there, though, is the fact that Wardell is able to buy an operator. And now with that deadly weapon in his hands, things get scary for Gen.G. Every single sight line is just an instant death waiting to happen, but they're playing so heavily towards this A site, effectively playing a game of chicken with TSM here, saying, you know what? How many times in a row can we go here? And TSM seem to have lost this one. All 5 members here, but the stack no longer. GMD pushing aggressively in, and MkaeL opening things up beautifully. One member up in heaven has no business. The executes in, and Gen.G finally have a site with a solid advantage.
Yeah, we're in a situation now where, as you said, Wardell is finally on his op, and as Hazed mentioned in his interview, they aren't typically used to winning defensive sides as dominantly as we've seen from them today, but Wardell on that op has been the enabler for that situation. But in this particular scenario, Gen.G just pushed the opposite side of the map. Wardell is a little bit late to rotate, and Gen.G has such comprehensive map control that he really doesn't have any ins.
But this is what we talked about earlier. They've run out of utility outside of this orbital strike. There is nothing. The timer's ticking down, though, for TSM. And this execute is looking like it's about to pay off. Cutler finds one, but with the timer ticking down, there is no time for TSM. And that is what we mentioned earlier, Anderzz. We wanted to see them save utility for the post plant so they could deny any push from TSM aggressively, and that they did. They kept heaven smoke the entire time. They had the orbital strike to deny the push that would eventually come in and defuse, and they put another round on the board.
Cheers.
Yes, they do. Player 1 showing all of his value. That orbital strike was ultimately what won Gen.G that round, buying them that little bit of time, preventing the rotation from Wardell through yellow, forcing him to play back towards heaven, and really denying TSM any chance to force that site. If they can hold utility and utilize ultimates like that going forward, this is going to be an incredibly tough defense for TSM.
And Wardell somehow has managed himself an operator in this round, somehow finagling that one up. I'm sure their economy isn't exactly in the greatest position should they lose this round. Player 1 peeks him, and you do not have the skills to pay the bills right now. Not up against Wardell, who's going to continue to clean up your players one at a time. Stop walking into him, for Pete's sake! Gen.G, you know exactly what's going to happen. Wardell has tasted blood and he wants more. In with the Bladestorm. Just wants to peek this cage. Goes down to the wrong time for him. Going to miss most of those shots. MkaeL dropped down to about half HP. Drone's going to finish him off and finish off the round here for TSM. A strong win to put a third up on the board and regain their lead.
And that's what we see when we have the flip side of that scenario, where Gen.G doesn't high roll on which site they're pushing. They don't use their utility comprehensively, and they run headlong into Wardell, who just completely stuffs their push and puts a round on the board for TSM.
I mean, how often do you see a round that done, especially in gun versus gun? Gen.G and TSM have been fairly even so far. That is the most dominant thing we've seen all night. And now we saw this multiple times. Wardell and Subroza getting aggressive at A, whether it's short, whether it's long. They don't seem to care. They will leave half this map open, but luckily for Gen.G, that's exactly where they're headed. Up mid into B. Cutler's gonna happily take down Huynh, and that leaves this site open for GMD to come in, clean up, and get that spike down.
This is something that we really haven't seen much today, because we haven't seen a team run a Sage comp on Haven yet. But this is what we'll probably see a little bit more of out of Gen.G. They can make these aggressive B pushes. This one shut down, forcing a rotation, but I would expect to see a lot more of that moving forward. In this case, though, we have that Phoenix coming out of TSM in a deep rotation, getting rewarded from that early A aggression that we saw down long, and we'll see if he'll be able to retake here as Wardell is pushing through defender spawn.
Yeah, 2 versus 3. It's not looking great. 1 versus 3 now. Only the Cypher remains here. Drone searching for him, but Subroza is going to take him out of the game. TSM extend their lead out to 4 after making Gen.G dance across the map.
Yeah, TSM starting to pick up a little bit of momentum here. Looking at the economies, we're going to have Gen.G still able to buy into rifles, so they're not in a dire situation just yet. But we see that Wardell here, 7-1-1 with the operator in hand, is really being put to work in typical TSM fashion.
Yeah, we mentioned it. If there's ever a map for this guy to show up on, it's going to be here on Haven. The rotate heavy, the long sight line heavy. It's just a playground for the man. But TSM have not gotten the greatest lead as of yet. They're still looking to secure that economy after a little bit of a rough round prior. Again, the aggression towards A long, though it didn't pay off last round. It will this one. GMD and MkaeL fall, and with that, Gen.G's push completely halted. Player one's gonna get one for his troubles, but that was absolutely not worth it. This spike nowhere near the site. The rest of his teammates getting cleaned up across the map, and all of a sudden, it seems like Gen.G may want to explore other parts of this map than A.
Player one is putting Gen.G on his back right now. My goodness. I can talk about how phenomenal a Brimstone he is all day, but he even out impresses the hype that I give him. This is absolutely a winnable round, purely off of the fact that he peeks out of a lobby there, picks up the 2K, and puts himself in a 1-on-2 position.
Now the big question is he going for it? He seems to like that corner a lot, like a little bit too much. He doesn't believe in himself as much as we do, and we're putting a lot of faith in this man who's clutched out a number of rounds prior to this. Even has the orbital strike right now, waiting until the last moment to actually go, assuming that he wants these TSM players to be set in their position, not rotating anywhere, so he's not going to get caught out cheekily. He just needs to check his corners and play some clean Valorant. Brim versus Ben, they're about to see each other cross sight. Hazed takes his dome down, and player one falls. With that, Gen.G are down 2-5 on TSM's signature map.
I think that was a little bit confusing when you looked at it from the outside looking in, but I think that the way player one played that was actually perfect. So what you saw there, it seemed like he was just kind of dirtling outside of a lobby, but what was really happening is if you looked at the utility setup that Gen.G still had, he had a tripwire in the offensive spawn area, and so he was waiting, praying that there was someone pushing for an A long flank that he could pick off and then play the 1v1. He then opted in the last 20 seconds, knowing he wasn't going to get that pick, to try and force, and it just didn't pan out for him. Really well displayed game sense, though, out of player one in that push.
Now TSM breaking out another trick from their sleeve. Look at how aggressively they're playing. Look at how tight they are. Everyone wrapped up around B. They've pushed A short. They know exactly where this push is coming from, but Drone needs to be the man to stop it. Sprays down one in the smoke. Can't get another. Beaten out by the eco push of Gen.G. The shorty in the hands of Huynh is just as scary as it has been round prior. Spike goes down, defended by just the wall here. And Gen.G finding a fantastic eco round 3 versus 3 now in the post lane as things slow down for just a moment.
Cutler getting a massive pick off onto Huynh there, taking the op out of the defense, or the post plant defense, I should say. And TSM buttons that one up quite quickly.
Yeah, it's not too surprising to see they had a massive range advantage, and coming into B, that can be especially important. You have the sight lines from either side, in fact, all 3 sides, which just get incredibly scary once the utility runs out from Gen.G. But as far as eco rounds go, that's about as good as it gets for not winning it. They got a couple of kills, they got the spike down, they're feeling pretty good.
It definitely could be worse, but if you look over at the economy of TSM, things are starting to slide away from Gen.G, at least for the half. We had Cutler starting this buy phase at max cash, and Subroza still floating at 7,800. It's going to take a lot of swing in this game's tempo for Gen.G to be in a good position.
Much work yet to be done, and TSM continue to push aggressively. This is what we didn't see in their previous match. They were really letting themselves back. Now completely unleashed, completely off the leash. Drone pushes all the way up through mid. The map control for Gen.G cut in half here. The 3 players separated away from their Jet, who then just has to hide over there and pray that they can get a pick onto Wardell.
You will not kill my allies.
Resurrect will bring player one back into the game, but immediately gets sprayed down by Drone, who pushes back through mid, picks up his 3rd of the round, and that should be enough to pretty much seal this one out for TSM. Bar some crazy stuff here from GMD, who's going to take the aggressive peek and lose to Subroza.
Yeah, that might button this one up, and we're going to see a bit of a tailspin probably from Gen.G here. Broken economy.
Oh my God.
What a flick! My goodness gracious.
Nasty. I mean, there's still only 1 player left. At this point, TSM look like they're going for style points. Wardell's going to take him out. 7-2 is a great score line against a team that's as good as Gen.G. I wouldn't say it's over quite yet, as much as we may condemn them right now. The economy of TSM is fantastic. Gen.G, though, they're managing to stay, I would say, untilted. They're getting beaten a couple of plays across the map, and I'd say the past 3 times that TSM have gotten aggressive, They haven't been spotted out. They've been able to go on the flank uncontested, which is, for Gen.G's purposes, just semi-unfortunate, semi-being outstratted, and they haven't been watching their flank either. So I'm going to put most of the blame on them, but they can't be letting that happen anymore here. TSM again pushing aggressively. Wardell all the way up C long. They know where this push is going to be. It's going to allow them to shift their weight across the map and be ready for this mid push that is inevitably coming in.
We see that Aldrone giving them all the information that they need. And TSM's going to be right on the heels of Gen.G here. They're going to have no chance to take the site the way that they wanted to.
And now this time with weapons, Gen.G can actually take this one relatively well. They're not able to get the spike down in B though. The Sage lying in wait finally will manage to do so, looking to heal up their teammate, but Wardell's going to take him down before they can do exactly that. Now holding on to this mid angle, things get incredibly awkward for Gen.G. They don't have a crossfire to work with. This is 2 players up against 4, having to do it the old school way. First one gets sprayed down. The second doesn't even have a sight line here as the spike's being defused. Cutler pushing out to try and find that frag. Instead, it's going to be the Brimstone and TSM putting themselves up 2-8.
This is insane to me. I mean, we saw how dominant TSM has been on this map in the past and today, but this is pushing it quite a bit. I would expect this to happen in the quarterfinal against BBG, a slightly less higher caliber team by most people's perceptions, but against a team like Gen.G, this is a stomp.
I mean, we talked about it earlier. When one shows up, the other seemingly doesn't. They may be in the same lobby, but it feels like only one of them is currently playing the game. It is very obviously TSM. Gen.G, again, I'll say, not out of it yet. It's a bad half for them, but this is a team that can absolutely do it, especially on a map that's TSM favored. This isn't what you're looking for, but if you look towards the second map, I don't think Gen.G are out of this series at all yet.
Not at all, and there's definitely still opportunity for Gen.G to come back here. We were talking prior about that interview with Hazed and how they were saying that TSM as a team hadn't been winning defenses consistently.
Oh, Hazed.
Oh, Hazed.
This is just mean.
Off angle in garage, just picking off 3, shutting down Gen.G's push before it even gets to start.
And these are the plays, man, that TSM is making. It's pushing C long, it's pushing mid, it's pushing A long. Everywhere they go, they're catching them off guard. There it's going to be a upfront garage hold. We're seeing pushes come from everywhere. We're seeing them hold in awkward corners. Every single round is a different, I don't want to say cheese strat, but like, you know, there's a little bit of cheddar mixed in there.
It's the type of angle variance that you would expect at this level of play. You're not going to have someone holding the exact corners every single round. And the fact of the matter is that Gen.G just isn't clearing every angle that they need to be. That's been a couple rounds now where they're caught off by just an incrementally abnormal angle, and it leads to 2 or 3 kills.
I think it's the crazy thing, though, is that TSM have so many of these up their sleeve. It's not just various angles. It's literally never the same angle twice, which is what impressed me so much. Wardell is getting a little bit too big for his britches there. I'm sorry, man. That is not when you're going to be winning anytime soon. Leaves the A site wide open for Gen.G to come in. Just the singular Brimstone and Phoenix, but Gen.G refuse to step on the gas pedal. They're going to wait a little bit here for anything to happen. Let that neural theft go through, which is going to prompt Gen.G to rotate over to the other side of the map.
Yeah, that neural theft making their slow play a little bit more reasonable, but I think that at the end of the day, they should have just pushed there. You're playing 4v3. You know that there's at least one on site. Just take it. You have momentum here. Instead, we're going to see a slow default. They're going to push up through sewer here, and we'll likely get contact onto site here with Phoenix.
Oh, and they don't want that. It's Subroza's Phoenix, my friend. Mows down one, looking to get a second here, getting double angled off the other end. Player 1 will be the one to take him down. Now post plant 1 versus 3. It's got to be Cutler. He's done this one before. Catches the first, not the second. That was player 1. Yet again, locking out around here for Gen.G. 9-3 half. Not great for Gen.G, but there was some promising stuff in there, especially from player 1.
Absolutely. It'll be interesting to see how TSM comes out here. Playing with Sage, or Gen.G rather, playing with Sage this round, will have to find a stronger, stallier defense and try and shut out TSM's aggression here. I think that where we're already at a 9-3 scoreline, if we see Wardell on an operator, getting early picks with those overly aggressive dry peaks like that one that we just saw through the cyber cage that was punished, I think Gen.G will be out of this map sooner rather than later.
Shut that Phoenix up.
Yeah. Luckily for them, though, it seems like the defensive side has been driving this map whenever TSM are playing, whether it be TSM or the opposing team. TSM is going to be getting aggressive. This time, though, it's going to be the opposite of that. It's going to be Gen.G pushing up C-Long, being punished, though. Cutler is always going to hit those shots. Player one cleans up. That's an even trade, but the map control has been taken away. They know the garage push is in, and they need to be careful about this full wrap from TSM.
Yeah, I think that you're absolutely right, where the defensive side has been setting the tempo in spite of this being really a coin flippy, in some cases, attacker-sided map. And I think the driving force behind that has been the defensive operators.
Yeah, now with the utility favoring TSM, Gen.G do not have the players to move in on this. I'm going to try their best, but two players holding on to the defender's spawn, waiting for the right opportunity to push in. TSM get one mode down, drone falls. The spike being enemy defused. There's no angle on it. There's nobody there to shut them down. They're not planted for long. This should go through for Gen.G.
A much-needed pistol win for Gen.G there. Hopefully it'll give them a bit of momentum and put a little bit of a delay on the op out of Wardell here. The sooner they can accelerate Huynh into an op of his own will probably be a defining moment for this defense as a whole, and we'll have to see how many rounds Gen.G can swing back. This is a critical first step in the momentum they need to make this game something that is at least slightly in the air.
Yeah, it's getting closer here for Gen.G, but they deny Wardell the operator. They deny them that critical piece. Player one has the hero Ares in hand, looking for the shots to land. And now this is where we can see Gen.G start controlling that pace even more. They have the utility with the Sage, with the Brimstone, to continue to control space, not let TSM play their aggressive game whenever they want to, like they were on the defensive side where you have so much space to push up. They can hold this as long as they like, and nothing is likely going to come from it for TSM.
Yeah, we're playing really kind of an odd, slow game out of Gen.G here. We've already got contact on A, and the rotations are slow to come out. Subroza, though, back-to-back 1Ds with the...
Oh, TSM's doing it again. They're pulling out rounds they have no right to win. Subroza with the Sheriff in his hand is a very, very daunting player to take care of. Now looking for one more here, peeking through the defender spawn. This is winnable here for player one in their respective stage, but it is incredibly difficult. May just want to hold on to this Ares, but peeking around does not look like he wants to. Broza just barely misses the time here. Looks to peek the Sage. Effys will take him down one by one here. The TSM member slowly waning. With that timer ticking down, Gen.G's odds slipping out the window. Player one must move forward, turns it into a 3 versus 2. 2 versus 2. Can they even up the numbers? Puts the wall down on the spike, starts to defuse. There's nothing that they can do about this. This should be a defuse for Gen.G, and off of a beautiful clutch play from player one and Effys.
The timing of that Sage wall is mind-blowing. We literally saw the Molotov from Brimstone coming from A long, bouncing off of the wall as it was rising. If that molly lands, the defuse is denied. The round's over. What a critical clutch play out of Effys. Absolutely ridiculous.
What a crazy post play. They waited till the last second. The last second, Anderzz. Oh my god, that is the kind of play that you need to bring this one back. I'm starting to believe a little bit more in this Gen.G side. They have momentum. TSM are not feeling great after that round, but Wardell has an operator in his hands looking to take all of that momentum away.
Yeah, we have part operators now on both sides, but importantly, on the side of TSM, Wardell's only on light armor. We'll see if he can get tagged early and shut out. But it looks like Huyhn's going to find success much earlier in the round, already picking 2.
Now TSM, they lack map control, they lack players. Gen.G are feeling themselves to a degree that they never have before. Look at this aggression though, trying to get in through garage, trying to poke, prod, find the weak points of this composition. Gen.G are going to try and rotate a couple players over relatively quickly, not trying to stray too far from their standard setup. But if the Cypher can get there in time, that is the biggest thing that is going to be helping Effys out. Slower pin should stop the push here from TSM relatively well, but Wardell takes down the reinforcements. The cavalry have arrived, but the cavalry have also been taken out immediately here. TSM even up the numbers, and now Gen.G have just as difficult of a retake.
Yeah, and TSM playing a bit oddly here. They're playing as if there's someone playing logs, but it's already been cleared out. Just giving Gen.G a little bit more time to rally the troops.
Oh, Wardell was ready for that one. GMD Peaks trades it out, but Wardell with the operator has every sightline in the world. Doesn't quite catch the last one. It's player one yet again who has to clutch the round out, looking to stick about half of this spike before picking it up. Or do pros not fake? They don't! Oh my god, he held the whole damn thing, Wardell! Your shots may connect, but your brain wasn't large enough to take down that brim.
My goodness gracious. Wardell, knowing he has the op there, he had already shot all of his knives. No such luck as far as pushing that site again. And my goodness gracious, player one, to be able to just force that, my goodness. It takes a lot of discipline and experience to just force that, send it, and see it all the way through.
Seeing it all the way through is one thing, but I don't know how many rounds this guy is going to have to clutch out for them to win. It seems like it's literally every one, 6-9, though. A nice scoreline for Gen.G, significantly better than they were doing in the previous half. Like we said, the defensive side driving these rounds.
Absolutely. The fact that player one has really been the decider, and at least half of Gen.G's rounds that they've won, I think that's being conservative. Just goes to show how critical he is as a player to this team. And the defensive play that he allots them with his brimstone is going to continue to sort of define this half. I mean, we talk about operators constantly, but the flip side of that coin is the smokes that we see out of things like player one's brim.
TSM, though, in the meantime, they're going to get control of the site of some very awkward A-long play from Gen.G, giving away the site, giving away that short side. Still a man up, though. Gen.G do have the advantage moving into the post-plant scenario. It's a matter of finding the frags here. Dean not able to find all that much, but Effys with this judge the entire round. They have plenty of money to buy anything else, but why buy anything else when you're just gonna pick up 3? Looking for more here, picks up an alternate weapon. Huynh is gonna clean up Wardell in a perfect 4-man retake from Gen.G. Nets them a 7th round on the board.
I know that we mentioned earlier that one succeeds when the other fails, and it looks like Gen.G might not have been playing the game so much, but that has changed in a hurry. They're quickly coming up towards an even score line, and we definitely have a game on our hands.
Anderzz, this is as good as it gets. Gen.G have not let a round slip this half, or since they won one at the end of the previous half. Now looking to set up that double operator setup, the one that was so effective up against TSM's prior opponents, now being used against them and their own aggressive Sageless composition. This could get bloody real quick.
I would imagine so, as we see that super quick aggression. Wardell kicked off and punished for his early peek out of lower mid. And TSM is already in tatters.
That was a impressively fast round. Both the operators showed up in the kill feed damn near instantly. Gen.G are not missing shots right now. This is absurd the way they're playing. They're using their 100% of their brain. You know, we only use however much percent. No, not Gen.G. Gen.G come up in the kill feed every time, and it's not just because they're winning aim duels. They aren't taking fair fights. They're just outplaying TSM 100% strategically right now. TSM with weapons in their hand, though, are always a threat here. 9-8 as we head into a very critical round. 4-team solo mid.
Absolutely. And TSM here, looking at some valuable tools. They've obviously got full buys across the board, and they're also sitting on a Hunter's Fury. You'll definitely see them try to force either towards A or C here and play those longer angles using both the Brimstone Mollies and that Hunter's Fury to try and prevent diffuses in the post plant. And this will probably be the moment where they break Gen.G if it's going to happen.
They've got a good position on the map so far, but if Effys can hold on to this, then they're feeling pretty good about themselves on the defense. Effys pushes through the smoke. There's that double operator setup yet again. MkaeL on the double angle shuts them down. A beautiful cage placement, in fact, cutting off one of those C-long angles. Now with Hazed in garage, about the only person who can do anything about this push right now. The spike dropped in the most awkward of places. TSM can feel their hopes at pulling this one away from a draw, slipping through their fingers.
Yikes.
Effys here having on his stage, I guess, orbs of steel. My goodness gracious, pushing that smoke with the operator of all things, going unpunished and rewarded at that. Holy, this is a game. I am overjoyed that we saw Gen.G be able to take this from a 9-3 half all the way back to a tied game.
Anderzz. Slow down. It's not over yet. TSM still can buy weapons. We saw them nearly pull away an eco round earlier. It may be Gen.G pulling it back, but this game still is close scoreline-wise. TSM could take it at any point. Gen.G have enough cash, though, to last them the entirety of this map. Wardell opting to go with that signature shorty that we've seen so many times today. And I like that they're trying to shut down the aggression of Gen.G, but what they're forgetting is that the aggression has literally always been a day long. Every single round, GMD pushes out with this Cypher and gets a pick. Huynh looking in mid with the operator, cannot connect on the shot, but they're feeling all right because they still have a one-man advantage.
Yeah, lucky to get that pick off from MkaeL, but it's answered ultimately by Cutler. Huynh failing to find success mid there, missing back-to-back shots. It'll par us up in a 4v4, and it looks like TSM is looking towards C.
Yeah, Gen.G have such an interesting way of holding on to this as well. They're so willing to give up garage control early. Drone's gonna take the head off. Wardell with the shorty. They are looking to pull out this eco round here, and now Wardell has sought out that operator and knows exactly what he's getting himself into here in the post plant. They all want to set up these operators in long 4 versus 2, and you don't have player 1 to save you anymore. GMD peeks corner with the flashbang straight into the welcoming arms of Wardell, who misses his shot uncharacteristically here. The TSM players looking a little bit shaky, but they still have a numbers advantage. GMD takes him down, and that is huge. That gains him so much control here towards the back of the site. Take down the recon dart, but you can't take down these angles at C long. You don't have anything to really smoke it off either. You can use the jet to your advantage, but the Hunter's Fury is going to come in. TSM, I think they've sealed themselves back up that lead.
Yeah, there's that Hunter's Fury I mentioned coming out, denying that defused and ultimately netting TSM a 10th round on an eco, no less.
That's the crazy thing about TSM, though, is that they can do it at any time. It's not just the gun rounds that I'm scared of from them. When Gen.G beats them on a gun round, I'm like, oh yeah, you know, it's going to be guaranteed. It's an eco. You still have players like Drone. You still have players like Subroza who have been playing out of their minds today. So many of these star players that we talked about before the match can still clutch it out, and now they got big boy guns in their hands.
Absolutely. I can't talk about it enough how sort of the unsung heroes of TSM's lineup, Subroza, Cutler, Hazed, really bring an astronomical amount to this team, and Drone especially. I mean, he was the ultimate second candidate for MVP in that past game. He on Sova has defined so many of the rounds, both offensive and defensive, using his valuable utility like that Hunter's Fury to earn them rounds, even from the clutches of scenarios where they frankly have no business or no right to be taking the W.
Well, some uncharacteristic passivism from TSM here as they creep and crawl their way up through mid. Gen.G, though, going for more awkward rotations of their own. They know that TSM have been playing heavy towards C. They're welcome to give them B because TSM does not have the Sage Wall to really hold in the post-plant scenario. So giving up this side is something that Gen.G are more than welcome to do because they've wrapped their way all the way around the map. Drone's going to get one onto MkaeL, and they shift all the way over to A. That is not what Gen.G were wanting to give up.
Yeah, TSM now with just complete and utter map control. Gen.G's going to have a hard time cracking into this. And depending on the amount of time that they take to get over there, it might not even be an option.
Four players up, but making those numbers look a little bit more even here. They've got time to the post plant, and they also have player 1 alive, which seemingly has been the ticket the entire time. Orbital Strike dropped down. Hayes going to take down GMD, who was forced out by that. 2 players playing in hell right now are going to be so difficult to remove. Player 1 drops down, takes down Hazed, but can't get much more than that. Effys is going to have to do it again on the stage, looking to wall off the operator and get the defuse going. Starts it. Wardell looking for the aggressive peek, gets beat by Effys, but is there time? No. TSM eke one out to make the score 11-9.
TSM might be closing this chapter of the match. Stalling for plenty of time, using that immense map control so that Gen.G has but moments to finally push that site. A valiant effort out of Effys and player 1 to ultimately bring that to a situation where they had a shot at the defuse, but too much time was spent.
It's been Gen.G constantly trying to lay on the brakes, constantly trying to slow TSM down. But what TSM's been doing isn't necessarily aggressive pushes at the beginning of the round. It's been explosive pushes. They've been waiting. They haven't been giving up information. They haven't been giving up early picks anymore. They've realized their mistakes. They finally adapted. It took them long enough, but they got here. Only 2 more rounds separating them from a victory on their signature map. Spread out very, very thin here as Gen.G lie in wait.
Yeah, Gen.G playing a very slow default, laying in wait for that explosive execute that you mentioned TSM has been bringing to the table for these last couple of rounds. Spike leaning towards A lobby. We'll see if that's the site they ultimately commit to, but it looks like we have Drone using the OWL drone to push out through B, trying to gather information. We see a pick from Huynh onto Subroza, and that will likely deter any sort of push TSM might have had towards A, but they may have to double down just based off of time.
Yeah, it's not feeling great. They barely have time for a rotate. If so, it's probably headed over to just B. You can tell Gen.G throwing their weight around here. They know exactly what is coming for them, but not going to do anything too crazy because they know exactly what TSM are like, which obviously their reputation has preceded them in this map. They know how rotate heavy they can be, but TSM are stone cold in how they push this. They execute out onto A, and Huynh is going to have to connect these shots. Pops the Blade Storm, player 1 taken out, misses the right click. MkaeL able to trade one out, but now no longer with the Jet. He's got to do it all on his own, playing in hell here. They have no clue where this last player is, but with 12 seconds on the clock, if the plant gets denied, that is going to be it. Wardell, though, cleaning up the Blade Storm, finds himself 2. GMD coming in, finds at least a little bit of value. It has to clutch it out 1 versus 2, search for the players, but it's going to be Drone playing incredibly aggressively, peeks around the opposite side of the site, puts it up the match point for TSM.
And this is the absolute danger zone, do or die time for Gen.G. Fortunately, they're still on solid econ, so it's not over just yet, but match point is not where they wanted to find themselves after such a successful second half.
Well, successful has been one word that I would not really use. Success happens, if you didn't know, Anderzz, success is when you succeed at something. They haven't succeeded at it yet. They're not out of the woods, and my God, they've got a long way to go.
Joke's over. You're dead.
Oh my God, look at the aggression from TSM in mid here. They're running straight up with the run it back on and into B. Drop this, the dart onto site. Make sure they know exactly where everything is. Get the spike down and get everybody out ASAP here. Everyone runs back out through mid, maintain their map control. Now Gen.G need to gingerly work their way onto site. TSM know there could be players coming up from behind them, sending just Hazed back there to try and hold. He will know there's going to be players here, so they're going to stack it a little bit harder with Subroza, but everything's so tense here as Gen.G yet again being incredibly patient in the post plant. It's Huynh getting aggressive with the operator, looking for that first shot. It connects onto Hazed, and that's going to be what they need to open up the middle of the map here. It's just Wardell, it's just Subroza holding on, but Subroza doesn't miss. Takes down one. Effys trades it out for Drone, but the site's starting to be lost here. The resurrect from Effys is going to give them back that mid-side line. Just take care of Wardell, and you can start taking care of the map. Wardell connects shot on MkaeL, but the spike not getting defused. TSM yet again, timeout. Gen.G to take the first map, 13-9.